Hello everyone, welcome back to Valley of the Mist Block of the Month. I'm Adriane Ritter.
And I'm Shelley McNeely.
And this is the August 2024 Block of the Month. This is the last of our 4 blocks for this year that are all composed of half square triangles. It's called Mosaic number 6 from the Ladies Art Company again, which was publishing blocks in the 1800s and used a lot in magazines and stuff at that time. And the funny thing is that this block of the 4, I found the easiest one to do. So we maybe should have started with it, but we didn't. And now you guys are all experts at half square triangles, and it'll be a breeze. All right, so Shelley's going to go over what we need.
Okay, again, our focus fabric that we're using this year for blocks that are turned in at the guild meeting is Yalka, designed by June Smith for M&S Textiles. If you are not turning yours in, you can use whatever focus fabric you desire to make your quilt. So for this particular block, we're going to need 2 4-inch squares of the focus fabric, 8 4-inch squares of white, 4 4-inch squares of the light coordinating, and 2 4-inch squares of a dark coordinating.
Okay, so part of what makes this one so easy is, if you notice, there were 8 white, and each one of those whites pairs up with one of the other 4-inch squares. So they're all 4-inch squares, and so you know you're going to if you draw a line on the square, it's going to probably be on the white. Right. Now, we're not going over all of the ways to make half square triangles. There is a separate video that we have in our video list called Half Squared, which goes over half square triangles. Mm-hmm. Shelley does hers, and she'll show you there, by putting a line a 1/4 inch away from the center,
down the
and that's her seam line. So that's what she actually sews on. She draws that line. Me, I just put a line down the center, and I sew a 1/4 inch away from either side of that. But like you'll see in our video, there's other methods. So you're going to make, with those 8 pairs of squares, you're going to make 16 half square triangles, because you're going to cut, after you sew them, you're going to cut them on that center line, making sure that you've got a decent seam on either side of that center line. And I just like to remind you, make sure you have the fabrics right sides together. It's easy to get that backwards, but you know, so you're going to make those, and then you're going to trim them. And these all trim to mostly what we've been doing for these 4 blocks, to 3.5 inch squares. And making sure that you put the 45-degree diagonal line on the diagonal line of the square, so that you're getting half of each color, basically.
Yes.
Okay, so once you've got all of those made, we are going to then be putting together the block like this. And you really just have to look at the picture, because basically it's 4 4 patches that you're making, but each 4 patch, there's 2 different versions of the 4 patch. There's this light coordinating fabric and focus square, which is repeated right down here, and then there's this light and dark square, which you make 2 like that. Now, I don't know if Shelley had any comment on that right now.
No, I didn't do it as a 4 patch. Did you do yours as a 4 patch?
No.
Okay.
But that's I'm just saying that's basically
okay.
how it's made.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to think of how you're laying them out, we're not going to sew them that way. After you cut your half square triangles in half, on this one we're just going to have you press them all to the darker fabric.
Yeah.
Now, you're not going to get you're not going to nest seams on every one of these. On a few of them, especially right where like these meet, you're going to have 2 seams that kind of bump and are pressed the same, but just clip them, pin them, whatever, just, go with it. It's not worth the effort to try to figure out the pressing to get exact nested seams.
It could be complicated. If you want to figure it out, go for it.
And if you don't like that bump, then you can press all of them open. That's your option, either to press them all to the darker fabric or press them open. So we're going to have you do that, and then you're going to take your blocks and you're going to lay them out in this order. And we're going to sew rows together. Okay, so we're just going to go and come back. We're going to come back with our 4 rows of this block sewn together. I don't think there's anything
Now we
special.
press those seams open, right? And then
Yes. Actually, all the pressing after you've made your half squares, you're going to press everything open at this point, just because it's a lot of seams coming together. But we'll come back with the 4 rows, and if we have anything we've thought about, but that's about it. All right, so we have our 4 strips of 4 blocks each.
Right.
Nothing weird about that.
No.
I must say, the ones where it nested, it is very satisfying when they're on the diagonal. I like nesting those.
Yes.
But I'd say about half nested and half didn't.
I know.
But this was the worst part, I think, for them not nesting.
Somehow, when you're doing the 2 lumps together, the higher part, they don't like it.
Oh,
This doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So you have to be more careful.
Yeah, make sure you've changed your needle in the last year.
You know, that might be it. You never know.
Yeah. Okay, so we have these, and now we're going to sew these 4 together. The only other thing that before you sew them together that we would recommend is that you measure them and make sure that each of those strips is at least 12.5 inches long. It should be right there at 12.5 inches. It could be 1/8 of an inch bigger and you'd be okay. Smaller, you're going to be in trouble, because there's no way to get that width back at this point. If they're not that long, before you sew them, maybe check that you pressed them well, or you might have to take a little smaller seam on something.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're going to come back with our finished blocks.
And these are pressed open again.
Oh yeah,
Just to remind
yeah, everything was pressed open from here out. All right, so we finished our blocks. They look great. And we deliberately have them oriented differently, just in the sample one, this one, just so you can see it doesn't matter. It's just how you turn it.
Right.
Okay. In the original block, actually, these 2 were the same fabric. We just switched out 2 of them for the focus fabric. So that finishes our half square triangle palooza. I don't know what you'd call it, but
there's more to come.
There's more to come. So these blocks, if you're turning them in for the drawing, are due in September, when we will have our block of the month extravaganza, because we have all the summer blocks that we draw in September.
Right.
Okay, so next set of 4 blocks for this year are combos of squares, rectangles, and half square triangles. So you'll have to wait till next month to see what we've come up with.